How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today I got a first impressions video. Now, I got a new Sony camera. No, it is not the FX30. I would love to have two FX30s, but I don't see a point having two of the same cameras, as I don't do anything that requires two cinema level cameras just for YouTube. But I did buy another camera that I've owned before. It's in the same lineup, but a different model. So let me tell you what it is: the Sony ZV-E10. Now, the ZV lineup is not new to me, as I bought their first one, which was the Sony ZV-1, which was Sony's dubbed content creator camera. Now, this camera was designed for those who were looking to start, being their first content creation in terms of, starting something on YouTube, or for making TikToks, or for making live videos such as Facebook and Twitch and things of that nature. That is what the Sony ZV-1 was designed for. And that was actually my first actual kind of real mainstream camera, aside from the other Sony that I had, which was the SX or the H something DX SCH 80 or something like that. But this was my first mainstream Sony camera alongside the A6400. And then I got rid of both of those, trade those in to get the FX30. But I wanted another kind of secondary camera, but I didn't want to buy another Sony ZV-1 or any of those lineups, because I just didn't want something that was kind of fixed lens. I didn't want to get the ZV-1F because, yes, it was a slight improvement over the ZV-1 in terms of a wider field of view, but didn't really seem like it was much of an upgrade. And I didn't really want to get the ZV-1 Mark II because, again, I didn't see that much of a difference between the two. Then I saw the ZV-E10, but at the time really wasn't really sure if I wanted to buy another camera, and now I'm glad I did. I actually bought this one off of eBay, which I'm not knocking eBay when it comes to buying electronics. It's just sometimes you get like the good with the bad, and I didn't want to buy something. When I bought this for $500. I didn't want to buy something, spend that kind of money, and end up getting something that was a lemon, and then just being stuck with a camera that I can't use, and then I'd have to sell it or get rid of it. So I got this for $500. And from the description, when I read about it, I thought the guy who had used it had had it for quite a while. At least when I read his description, it sounded like he did. But actually, when he sent it to me, it came with the camera, not the lens, but it came with the camera, a battery, a USB to USB-C cord, and it did come with the the plug-in that I could use to plug this in and charge it that way. And when I initially got the camera, it looked like it was practically brand new, like the guy had never even used it. All the buttons were still perfectly fine. In fact, they weren't worn at all, like you would expect on most used cameras. And the screen, again, perfectly fine. It articulates. It's perfectly fine. I didn't see anything wrong with it. Of course, I had to reset the camera because the guy didn't really know how to do that. So I reset it to factory settings so I could set that for me, for my specific use. Otherwise, it's not that much different from my Sony ZV-1. Now, I will admit, though, the button configuration is a little bit different than the ZV-1, so that's what's throwing me off when it comes to using this camera. So as you can see on the top, on my ZV-1, you had where the shutter button was, there was different types of knob that you could select. So say if you wanted to go into movie mode, you simply just use the knob to switch to that. Or if you want to go into photo, switch it and go to that. Or S&Q or panorama, you simply just use the knob to do that. Now on the ZV-E10, it's actually this one button right here. And that's what keeps throwing me off every time I'm going to use this, because as soon as I turn it on, I'm like, damn, why am I in photo? Or sometimes I forget that it's in photo because it was the last mode I was using. I have to press the button again to go into video. And sometimes you can get confused with that by pressing it more than once, because you can actually go over the mode that you want to. So that's probably the only kind of, I wouldn't say gripe that I have. It's just one of those kind of learning curves, because yes, it is still a ZV lineup camera. When it comes to the button configuration, that's probably the only thing that you're gonna have to worry about. Otherwise, everything else on here is pretty much the same. Now, when it comes to the connections, again, that's a little bit different than on the ZV-1 lineup. So the ZV-1, ZV-1F, and the ZV-1 Mark II pretty much all have their connections all on one panel. You simply pop that open, and that's how that works. But on the ZV-E10, it's a little bit different. So the main panel, which is this right here, you pop that open, and you still get the familiar micro HDMI to HDMI connection, but the charging now is USB-C instead of micro USB. And on the bottom here, there's actually a headphone jack that you would use to plug in a headphone jack to listen to the audio on the camera. But if you want to plug in an audio device such as like a wireless mic or a shotgun mic, where do you put it? Well, there's actually a little plug-in right there. And again, I didn't even know this was even there. I thought it was just some other this aesthetics thing. But when you pop it open, voila, that is your 3.5 millimeter plug-in. That is what you use to plug in your shotgun mics or your wireless lav. Now, it again still comes with the cold shoe right there, and you still can use that for plugging in Sony's own microphones for that. Otherwise, it still stays true to, again, on the bottom of your battery, you got your SD card that you slide into that, and it still uses the same NPF, what is it, NPFW50 battery, which is what the Sony ZV or the Sony ZV lineup uses, as well as I believe the A6400 also used, which was another camera that I had. Otherwise, other than that, it's just simply just a ZV-1 with removable lenses. Now, I didn't buy this with a kit lens because I already have lenses. This is an 11 millimeter that I can use on this, as well as I also bought a kit lens that you would normally get with the ZV-E10 that I bought separately because I actually use it on the FX30. And I also have, again, my handy cinema lens, which I might try on the ZV-E10. I don't really know yet. Now, I haven't had a chance to actually try any videos with this because I live in Alaska, and right now we just got dumped like 38.1 inches of snow within the last last week or so. So walking around outside is going to be a little bit more challenging because there's not too many places I can walk except for on the side of the road, and I don't want to get hit by a car. But if weather permits it tomorrow, I might just do a kind of a quick vlog with this outside. It just depends on what lens I might want to use. I might use my 11 millimeter, or I might just use the kit lens for this. It depends on which one I want to use. Otherwise, it is a solid build camera. Again, this is no more different than any of the other Sony ZV lineups, with the exception of that you can use interchangeable lenses. So if you were looking for a content creation camera, but didn't want to spend a lot of money for something like the FX30 or the A6400, then I would definitely look at the ZV-E10 because it gives you a lot of options when it comes to buying lenses. And again, you can buy this with the kit lens. It's typically around $700 some odd dollars. Or again, you can buy it used secondhand market from places like B&H or eBay. Just keep in mind, if you're going to be doing it from eBay, just make sure that you understand the description in terms of whoever's selling it to you is selling it to you. Otherwise, you've got Amazon, and you also have, again, B&H. And I'll have a link down below for this camera if you want to take a look at it. Otherwise, this is kind of like my first impressions of the Sony ZV-E10. Again, like I said, I'm not new to the Sony ZV lineup, as I've had the original ZV-1, but I didn't want to buy another version of it with all these lenses that I still use, and I still wanted a camera that I could use secondary, that would allow me to use secondary lenses if I didn't want to feel like using the lens that's on my FX30, which is the Sigma 16. Say I want to keep that on that lens on my camera, but now I've got a Sony ZV-1 where I've got 2 or 3 other lenses that I can't really use except for the one camera. That is why I bought the ZV-10, because it allows me to swap out the different types of lenses. And again, like I said, I got the kit lens separately because I was using it for the FX30, and I also got the cinema lens. That is my SLR Magic, which I could either use on the FX30 or might try it on the ZV-10 to see if you can get really good cinematic footage with this. Otherwise, this is just kind of like my secondary camera for if I don't feel like going to bring out my FX30, because obviously that's an $1,800 camera. If I break it or slip in the snow and I drop it and I break it, I'm gonna have to buy another one, and I don't want to go through that. Whereas with something like this, if I slip or drop it or break it, I can always buy another one. With that being said, that doesn't mean by no means that this is a cheap camera that you should pass it up and buy something more expensive. It's just a really good beginning camera. It gives you pretty much everything that you need. And really the only gripe I have with it is just because I'm just been spoiled with the FX30 and with the Sony Z, not the ZV-1, but with the A6400, you can do that with this also, is I don't like these little neck things, the neck strap that you can use to strap these and hold on your neck or something like that. I don't particularly care much for these. I wish that you could remove them or something, but I don't believe you can, or at least have a way of folding them down or something that just makes it not stick out, because to me that just looks kind of weird with them kind of hanging out the side. Otherwise, you still got your quarter thread right there. You can still plug this into a tripod, and for all intents and purposes, pretty much the same as the ZV lineup, as I said before, just with interchangeable lenses, so it gives you a lot more options as opposed to being stuck with just a fixed lens that you can zoom in and zoom out, and that's pretty much it. And again, you can pair it with a Sony grip, which is what I have here. This is what I bought with my original Sony ZV-1. I can simply just pair this with my ZV-E10 and just attach it to this, and then there you go. But right now I haven't actually Bluetooth to my FX30 because I use this as my talking head video camera as well, but I can also do the same thing with this. So I'll have a link down below again if you want to take a look at my unboxing of this, which I do have a few other lenses that I put on this. Otherwise, if you're new to my channel, please think about hitting that subscribe button, hitting that bell notification. That way you don't miss content when I drop it. And stay tuned for my next video where I will be testing out the vlogging capabilities with this outside and in the snow. I did do a vlogging, I guess you could say kind of a winter vlog with the FX30, but it's going to be a little bit different with the FX30 because like I said, it's a lot more snow now than it was then. So stay tuned for that video when it drops, and I will see you guys in the next video. Enjoy your holidays. Stay safe.